I think what we're going to do is we might just go ahead and record this for a video. I'm not going to have one predetermined or pre-planned. I'm going to look at everything with you guys right now. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to build a, not a freebie set, but like build a very low cost, money efficient set that anyone should have access to being able to build really easily and have a decent amount of power overall. I'm curious of what that's going to look like. So let's go ahead and take a look at the market. Let's break down what we could do using what we have access to, because I feel like you could do a lot even being super lazy. So first thing, take advantage of events. The most recent event is over. So if you weren't playing during that time frame, unfortunately, you probably don't have the ability to do this. But Exelio weapons already at plus 90. I'm sorry, already limit broken. Already potential unlocked all the way up. All you gotta do is upgrade these to 90, which that in itself is gonna cost you a bit. That's fine. But like that's probably the most expensive portion of this is upgrading your stuff to plus 90. So getting a weapon, getting a set of units, more or less free. And the crazy part about this is like you could have gotten these not by farming, just by doing your dailies. You know what? Actually, they're right. I could just go over my ship 3 character. Hold on, let me go switch characters really quick. All right, ship 3 character doesn't really have anything on him. He's basically blank for the most part. But I did buy this stuff on this character, so you can actually see it. So it starts us with Gladia, Alphanali, Gigas, Ikavar, and Grand Dread. Okay. So immediately what we're looking to do is we're looking to get rid of this Ikavar, this Grand Dread. The Gigas we can keep. The Alphanali we can keep. And the Gladius we can keep. Okay, those 3 are going to be fine to keep. We need what? 4 augments? We need 4 augments. That's going to slot in here. It's going to depend on what you kind of want to run with. Exelios. Okay, that's going to be 7 total. That's not too bad. All right, so this is kind of the baseline of what you'll have, right? Exelio blades, Atasis armor. First thing I want to do, get these to the armor at least to 81. The weapon at minimum 81. Reality, you want it at 90, just because you want the base damage. So getting those taken care of are going to be the immediate first priority as you go through this. I would argue get your weapon taken care of first, get the base damage taken care of, and then go into actually getting your units sorted out. Make sure we have that taken care of. Make sure that's all good to go. You want to make sure that you have as much base damage as you possibly can. Next is going to be sorting out the rest of your augments. Now, what can we actually do as far as augments are concerned? Well, we're going to take advantage of basically everything that costs almost nothing. And we need 4 of them. We need 4 augments overall to do it. 2 of them, super, super easy. Whatever your main stat is, 5. Might 5. So Might 5 is 3.5%. Very, very simple. Go ahead and slot in whatever your main stat is. That's an easy choice to make. Along with that, what is it? It's a doable. Yeah, doable 5. We can use Meltech, we can use Melraw, whatever. As long as it has one of the 2 stats you use, that's another 3.5. So that's 2. 3.5 is already handled for us. Only have to slot in 2 more. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky for some people because not everyone's a fan of negative stats. Don't really like negative stats in most cases, but to be perfectly honest, they're not that bad. Now, if you're someone who's like, no negative stats, I refuse, I don't want to do this, it's going to be too difficult, I'm going to take too much damage, whatever. First off, you're not going to. You'll be fine. You're going to be okay. Don't worry too much about it. It's not a big deal. But if you're someone who's like really intense about not using negative stats, you can keep the High Kavar and the Grand Dread Keeper. I mean, they're not fantastic, but they're not the worst in the world. They'll keep you with some decent positive stats. You'll have some decent utility stats along with it as well. But I would personally swap those out. And the ones I would swap them out for would be Wardrow and Spiro Trials. Spiro Trials minus 5 PP. Again, kind of sucks losing out on PP, but of the choices you have to make, not that big of a deal, and it's 3.5% potency. Pretty solid. Wardrow Trial is minus all down resistance, which is just your resistances. Not a big deal there either. Again, I'm a fan of it, 3.5, and you're good to go. And now I've given you pretty much all of the augments that you'll use on your units, and none of them cost more than a K. And that's it. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to be able or actually be geared. Let's go ahead and throw this in the stat calculator. I'm curious to see what this all looks like. Let me get that pulled up here really quick. Give me one sec. All right, so we have the damage calculator pulled up. We're assuming that eventually you're going to build yourself up to Tricilio. Let me switch scenes so you guys can see this a little bit easier. This is a little bit easier this way. And I can just what? F11. Boom. Perfect. Okay. So assuming you're going to work towards your Celio weapon, I mean, I guess I'll put this at what is it? Exelio. Cool. Yep. Exelio. Awesome. What EXs can we go for that's cheap? I think Hysterical Shortage is usually pretty cheap, but people have issues with being on fire all the time. Your third one can be basically whatever. It doesn't really matter what X something. We don't want to go for a 3-step necessity just because then it gets expensive. Lively HP is nice, but then I feel like you really should have Tri-Shield with it. And I believe Lively Tri-Shield is pretty expensive, so I think you really want to just go with whatever you can. You could just keep the X's that are on there to begin with. It's not the end of the world if you do. I personally would look for Hysterical Shortage PP burn setup just because they're fairly inexpensive and it's fairly potent overall. But again, people have issues with negative stats. Totally fine, totally up to you. Go with whatever your gut's feeling. You can always just leave the EXs that are on there as is, and you'll be perfectly fine. So we're gonna leave what I had on here beforehand, so don't mind what the actual EXs are. This is a pretty expensive combination, but the whole point here is that it doesn't really matter. You can have whatever ones you want here. If these are all 4.5 or 4.5, it's fine, but I would recommend at least going for something with like a higher stat here. So like Hysterical Strength with Shortage PP, it'd be really, really nice. But again, take what you can get. For the other slots here, you just want the highest amount of potency we can get here. So, all right, so I would imagine we do what? Gladia LC, Finale LC. What else? What else could we get that's pretty inexpensive? Gigas Maste? Well, actually, no, because we want 3.5, right? So actually, the smart choice would be the Might 5. Gigas Might 5, hello. Might be Might 5 and be doable. Because they're both 3.5s. Stat 5 and doable. Because you don't have to worry about trials. I mean, like they're 3.5 anyway. So again, really inexpensive. This is totally fine. Everything is above 3.5 and you're good to go there. Let's see, you're not at your Tristasis. You're just at your Ectasis, right? And Ectasis, we're gonna go for, I would argue you want to roll until you get an Orgus 1 because you want to build up Orgus. Orgus is really, really strong. You really, really want to go for Orgus. So again, end of the day, up to you which one you go for. I'd highly recommend Orgus, but you can build these mostly how you want to, honestly. And just a clean slate, okay? I'm thinking, why are you putting this in the calculator? Because we're gonna look at a comparison afterwards and show you how insanely difficult or different this is. Not even difficult, but how different this actually is. So, Gladia LC, Finale LC, Gigas Maste LC. All right, so what did we slot in? It was Might, so Might 5. Doable 5. Melra. We went with, what is the other one? Wardrow Trial and Spiro Trial. Now, technically, you can replace this Gigas Maste with another trial. If you are okay with dealing with negative stats, you can go with the last trial, which is Guaro. And it is technically going to be stronger. You are going to lose out on some defensive stat though, because of course the Gigas Maste is giving you some HP. So I personally wouldn't recommend going for it. It's only 0.25 increase, especially if you're going with budget in the first place. You probably want to, save yourself a little bit of a headache. So that's what we're going for our setup. So just gonna go ahead and copy that into everything else. So yeah, we got that set right there, right? Cool. 34, 33, 34, 34. Yep. Awesome. So here's the fun part. We're going to do a comparison. I'm going to scroll over here. And I want you to look at where it says Argenkul stock and Argenkul with SVent. Argenkul with SVent is the free gear that they hand you. And this is showing you that it's a 25% damage difference between the free gear that they hand you and you not spending any money basically on your gear. That was literally with all of the gear you could have gotten for free from the event and augments that cost 1K. That is it. This is the baseline. The baseline, mind you, this is Fix a Fatale, of course. We went with Fix a Fatale because Fatale is basically your best choice unless you are a Slayer, which then you go with Termina, which, I mean, you could go Attack as well. Attack is not that bad off. You're just not getting enough potency floor to make Attack actually stronger. Fatale is kind of like your cheap option. But as you can see, it's a 25% difference at the baseline. This is without spending really, the money you spent was the cost to upgrade your weapon to +90 and to put your units at +81. That was it. That was really all of the money that you spent on that. And honestly, you could probably, it wouldn't even cost you with the materials you need. It would cost you mostly the Meseta cost to feed the materials, because most of those materials you could have also gotten from the event that currently still available, at least to trade your points in for if you still have points left over. That is what we mean by how much stronger you can be off of the baseline. It's insane how different the damage truly can be comparatively to what you have, to what most people are using every single day. And it's not even a situation of like it being worth. This literally costs you almost nothing. Funny enough, you could take the Meseta they give you from this current event, plus the Meseta they give you from reaching max level, and that is enough to pay for all of this. So it doesn't even require you to farm. I don't know how much easier I can make that. I'll be honest, I don't know how much easier we can make that. Granted, again, you're dealing with a couple negative stats. That does suck when it comes to gear. I'm not the biggest fan of wardrobe. Spiro you can deal with. Spiro's not too bad, but I'm not the biggest fan of wardrobe. But I'm pretty sure this can't be made any easier. And the cool thing is this is at Exelio. You're going to make it up to Tricelio. And that also doesn't cost you any money. You play and they give you the resources you need to upgrade it. And now it's another 5% difference. So now you're looking at a 30% difference in damage versus what they handed you for free. Pretty substantial. It's a pretty substantial difference. Hopefully that helps someone out there who's curious about, you know, what can I get without having to spend a lot of money? You spent virtually no money on your augments. These are literally all free. I really feel like you can only consider these free. All the LCs you can get from the event shop, or you can get from most of the trade-in shops that are available right now, or just play casually and you get them just from everything that you do. These are all 1K a piece. All these augments are 1K each right now. At worst, 5K. That's at worst. I've seen them go up. And that's if like you're on a ship that's not really populated. And I can tell you right now, if you came to me and you're like, hey, this is what my gear looks like, and you're going for Tricelio and you're getting your Tristasis, like let's say for example, you're dealing with these negative stats, right? Well, because you're dealing with the negative stats there, then I would definitely go with VO, because VO will help you combat the loss in PP. And now, instead of -5, you're now positive. So now you're positive on your PP amount. Cool. And that you got that for literally just farming for money to buy fashion. You got that for farming for money to buy fashion that you didn't have to spend on your gear. Doesn't get easier than that.